Quit. Oh. Are we allowed to talk during these things? It's so weird.
It's live. When it's live, it's just fun.
Are we live now?
We're live.
We're live now.
We're live.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Dale Jr. Download. This is the Ask Junior Live segment on YouTube. Follow all our social media handles, Dirty Mo Media. Let's get to it. Let's get some questions.
All right, our first question coming in from Michael at Hillbilly Miner. He wants to know, what was your favorite way to kill time during rain delays or downtime at the racetrack?
Oh, man, that's a great question. Every driver hates rain delays. You know, once the race has started, you're kind of ready to keep going. You don't want to stop. And I don't know, maybe you got some plans later that night or whatever, and you're just ready to get, you have your life so structured by the minute of when you're going to practice, when you're going to qualify, when you're going to race, and you hate that to kind of be broken up. And so most every driver I know hates a rain delay. Typically, you're going to sit in your motorhome or whatever, wherever you're at, driver's lounge in the hauler, and get on your phone and be on Twitter or whatever. Spend time with your kids, whatever, just to try to, I don't know. It was always very boring, and you spend the entire time really just looking at the radar. Mm-hmm. And wondering, okay, when's this going to end? Okay, how long is NASCAR going to take to dry the track once that's over, once the rain's stopped? You're listening to NASCAR scanners talk about that too, how long they think they're going to need to dry the track once it's done. So it's basically just a bunch of annoying mess. So, yeah, rain delays suck.
An annoying, boring mess.
It's awful. Rain delays are terrible.
All right, Alex. Alex Pipe wants to know, if you had to do over at a race where maybe you messed up on a restart or a corner, or felt like you let a win get away, which one would it be?
Oh, man, there's lots of those. There's so many races that I'd love to have a chance to do over. I think that the losing at Martinsville, Harvick passed me with like 5 to go, 10 to go, or something like that. I took off and got the lead and really, really burnt my car up. And I probably could have taken a little better care of the rear tires. And I also didn't adjust my brakes enough. I got looser and looser getting in the corner, and I didn't adjust my brakes enough to try to – I could probably fix that pretty easily with the brake lever, and I didn't do that. And Harvick ran me down and got by me, and I'd love another shot at that. But you think about that every time you lose a race. Anytime you get past late in the race or run second or third or always think about what you could have done differently. And there's hundreds of races like that in my career.
I'm thinking about
one.
A bunch of races. No,
Oh, yeah?
I can think of a bunch of races that I just know that probably kind of eats at you.
Yeah.
Do you want me to tell you?
Sure.
There was the Michigan race where it seemed like you were sort of in the catbird seat from fuel. You could dig a little better. Whoever was winning, I think it might have been Casey Kane or somebody was having to conserve fuel, and you made up all this ground, but didn't win it. And I didn't. Do you know what race I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Okay. I wanted to say it may have been like 2006.
Was it that white Ralph Earnhardt paint scheme?
Yes.
It rained and stopped the race early in that race, and I finished third. I think Casey Kane won, and Carl Edwards was second, but I don't remember exactly what.
That may have been
how that played out.
The one. There's another one. I've just always wanted to ask you this. What about that race at Charlotte when you wrecked Michael Waltrip on the front stretch?
Yeah, that was
Did
awful.
that make you feel awful?
Hell yes.
Man, I remember. You know what I remember about that? I remember Tony Uri making such a big scene to the media, and that was in a very sensitive time for us all. Yeah. And I remember you after the race pulling in, and I never did this to you, but I did this day. I said, "Hey, get to the hauler real quick so I can tell you what Tony Uri has been saying to the media while you've been racing."
Yeah, that's one thing about it. I mean, Tony Sr. never held back. Tony Jr. either. I could go into the one thing that I remember about that race is when I wrecked, I pulled into my pit stall, and they said, "Take it to the garage. It's damaged too bad." To the garage meant backing up through, I think it was Kevin Harvick's pit stall.
Okay.
And to the opening was right there. So I just backed up, and one of the guys happened to be out there sweeping, and I don't think that I came close to hitting him, But apparently he was angry enough to follow me down into the garage and confront me about backing through their stall. And I wanted to fight that man so badly in that moment. Even if he won, I didn't care. I was so angry at that that I wished either I could have fought him and lost or whatever. I don't care, but I just was so mad.
I had no idea this happened.
I hate that. Like in that, when you're racing and you have adrenaline going, if somebody kind of gets confrontational with you, if that happens like in the moment after that, a lot of bad decisions go through your mind. That was the one thing that I remember from that night that made me the most angriest. I felt stupid that I did that. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I ran in the back of Michael, because it was obviously a terrible decision and was going to spin him out, and it did. There were some weird things going on between the teams. I had decided to get away from Tony Sr. and Tony Jr. after we won 6 races the year before, and it was a terrible decision. One I've said before, I think on this podcast, that one of my biggest regrets in racing really was us splitting up after that 2004 season. And 2005 was tough for all of us, I think, and that was probably the lowest point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Mickey Brooks chiming in on YouTube. He wants to know, who's the coolest guy in the garage that no one knows about?
Hey.
No one knows about.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Oh, well, there's a lot of guys on this list. Man, that no one knows about. I'm going to say, and somebody's going to, oh, yeah, I know that. That's not, everybody knows that. I think, well, that's tough. I mean, coolest guy in the garage nobody knows about. Damn. I know the fans are probably answering this for me right now on the chat.
Not
like
yet.
Maybe even like personality wise, like somebody.
That's what I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
That's what I think they're trying to get at. You know, all the guys that are coming in right now are, I think, pretty interesting. But everybody knows about all these drivers.
This can't be
Like
a driver.
Matt,
this can't be a
this
driver.
can't be a driver?
No, I mean, no, because you would know about the drivers.
Everybody knows
I
about
think
the
we have
drivers.
to go
Right.
beyond below.
Okay.
Like I think of like some crew members on some old teams you had that and people may know them too. But like Two Beer, I always thought he was cool. I just thought he's an interesting. Jeff Clark was always interesting to me. A guy, like he's sitting there building choppers for his own company at the time. Those are cool individuals.
Yeah.
Those are a couple that come to my mind.
I think people would be surprised at how cool Mike Hilton is. Yeah. I think that they look at Mike and only know Mike through the fan lens of seeing what he does and how he influences the sport, but who he is away from the track and the things that he likes to do and how fun he is to hang out with is not really that well known. So maybe he would be somebody on that list. I think, all those guys. Steve O'Donnell, pretty cool guy.
We got Groathouse. He's headed to Phoenix for the race this weekend. He wants to know if there's any good food suggestions in that area.
For Phoenix, man.
God, everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
the whole town. Yeah, they can do food out there.
I'm sure some good barbecue there.
Barrio Cafe is mine.
I just go to if I can't, I'll just go to barbecue. If I can't, if there's not a place that is well known or you got an iconic, you got to go to the steakhouse or whatever. Just find a good barbecue place. I mean, you can't never go wrong with barbecue.
Which place did you say?
Barrio Cafe, it's probably my top 3 favorite restaurants on the road.
Okay.
It's fun to see how people do barbecue differently in different parts of the United States, and it's extreme.
Yeah.
Like I do not like North Carolina barbecue. I
don't like most of it either.
Kansas City, Texas.
Yep. Where the concentration's on the smoke.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of where the barbecue from where I'm from. Hard to say.
Speaking of food, Austin Bingham wants to know if you're still eating your Mayo banana sandwich.
No, I haven't had one of those in a long time. I mean, since I haven't had one of those in a long time. I don't eat those regularly. And but I did see where on let's see. What was it? I was watching social media the other day, and Barstool Radio. They did. They had a three. They had a one of their radio shows where their three hosts tried the sandwich, and all three of them said, "Damn, it's pretty good." You don't.
They all tried a banana mayo sandwich?
Yeah, they all tried it. Barstool's sort of got this big NASCAR push right now, and they thought, "Hey, okay, this guy says the sandwich is good, so we're going to try it." They all tried it, and they say it's not supposed to be. You wouldn't think it would be, but it is good. All three of them. So I felt like that was a big win for me.
Yeah.
Because boy, did I catch a lot of hell for that sandwich.
You did catch hell.
God, I caught hell for that.
I know it. You're still catching hell.
Still catching hell for it. Jeez, try it. If you still hate it, then you can give me all the hell you want.
Yeah, right.
All right, Max Klug, what NASCAR legend would you love to maybe go back in time and rival?
Rival. DW probably. I think Darrell Waltrip when he was driving the Gatorade 88, and then when he got in the Mountain Dew car, the Buick with Junior Johnson, everybody loved to hate and boo him. He was dominating, he was winning so much. I remember going to North Wilkesboro, and he was winning every single week, it seemed like, and he dominated that day, and the fans hated it. It wasn't so much Darrell, it was just winning. And it's the same thing that I think Jimmy Johnson dealt with in his career, especially when he's winning 5 championships in a row. And that's probably one of the reasons why he's not more of a fan favorite, is just because of so much success, right? Fans don't want to see the same guy, the dynasty type of thing going on in NASCAR. But boy, they didn't like Darrell back then, and he would have been the target for a lot of guys in rivalry. I think back then, so that's an easy pick for me. And because if you beat Darrell, everybody's gonna be like, "Yes, yes, this guy who just beat him." So
Ben Taylor wants to know if you have a favorite outside activity or chore.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Favorite outside activity?
Yeah.
Or chore? Well, we talked about it earlier on the show. Going bow fishing with Jeffrey's fun until I master it eventually. Then that'll probably become boring. That's never going to happen, Mike. That was a cue for you to come in there.
Oh, okay. I'm sitting here thinking that's not considered a favorite activity because you've done it once.
It's not a chore either.
Or a chore, right.
Like I think they're thinking more landscaping and stuff.
Work.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Landscaping.
Yeah, that's what they were saying.
Hard work.
When's the last time Dale mowed his grass? That's the question.
My favorite activity, this goes back to when me and Amy were remodeling that house down in Key West. I did all the landscaping lights and digging, putting all the wires underground and putting all the lights, positioning all the lights on the trees so they shine just right from the street and all that. That was fun. And actually got me going to do all the, remodel sort of the landscaping lights on the other properties that I have. So that would fall into that category. Digging a pool was fun. Getting on a excavator and digging out a 5-foot, rather small pool in the world of pools. But that was fun. Any of that kind of work was pretty good. I hated the the traditional work in remodeling or building a house, like drywall. Oh, that was sucky. And caulking windows.
Yeah.
All that stuff. But some of the more unique jobs were a lot of fun.
Well, it sounds like anything you can do to climb on a piece of equipment makes it more fun. You just named a couple things you enjoyed, and they all had to do with, except the lighting, except the setting up the lights. But if you get on an excavator and tear up something, that's fun.
I am a guy that loves building the technology of putting together a stereo unit or some sound system for a house or any kind of IT style work. Setting up a hotspot or something, any kind of IT kind of, and so that landscaping lighting kind of was a little IT-ish.
Gave you a little of that.
Yeah. I like that. I love building computers and crap like that, fixing them.
All right. What else we got?
Junior 3815 wants to know, what's your recollection of the 2001 CarQuest 300 driving the number 87 for Joe Nemechek?
Yeah, okay. So that was a terrible day.
That.
Yeah. Joe got hurt and wanted somebody to fill in for him. So he asked me, and I was like, heck yeah, it was a compliment for Joe. He had a great car, a winning car.
Yeah.
I was going to get to work with Brian Patty, who I'd got to know through racing in Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. And it seemed like the Uries respected Brian Patty quite a bit, so I was excited to be able to work with him. I had to borrow a suit. I needed a generic suit, so I had to borrow a suit from Hank Parker Jr. He had a black suit, so I got this suit taped over Hank Jr.'s name. And we practiced, okay, wasn't great. Qualified terrible. And then in the race, the car was undrivable. Like something was broke in the back of the car, and I was on the verge of crashing and wrecking this thing. And I told Brian, I said, man, I can't figure it out. I don't understand. Something's wrong. Something's loose with the suspension of the rear of the car. And so I think we ended up having to park it. I can't even remember how we finished terrible, but I think I ended up parking the car in the middle of the race because something was
I think you're right.
wrong
I vaguely
with it.
remember that, yeah.
And I was so disappointed for Brian and that team and those guys because they hired me thinking, man, this is going to be great. He's going to do us a good job. And I got out there and I couldn't drive the car. And I don't know if they ever found anything wrong with it. So curious to this day, really, what might have been the issue. But I was excited about the opportunity. Didn't pan out the way I hoped. And yeah.
Can I tell you a quick story?
Sure.
Do you know that when I was in college, and right towards about a year before I started, before I was going to graduate, I started sending letters to a bunch of places like people do when they're wanting jobs. Mm-hmm. And I got a copy of all the race teams' addresses, right? And so I sent letters to all the race teams. Brian Patty is the only one that actually sent me a letter back. I didn't even ask, now it wasn't with a job, but I'm telling you, Brian Patty, a crew chief this is back in 2001, 2002, he was hot. And yep. Brian Patty sent me a letter. I mean, you think about how many people send resumes. I've always been a Brian Patty fan of that because he just sent me back a letter. They were just saying, we'll keep your resume. Thanks for reaching out. It wasn't long. That was Brian Patty. I always appreciated that.
Yeah. Well, he missed out.
Alan,
Thank you.
Alan Timmerman wants to know, how do you see Kyle Busch winning 200 races in NASCAR? Is he going to be the next king?
So Kyle even said that his record versus the Petty's record of 200 wins is not the same. Obviously, it's not. Richard Petty had 200 Cup wins. Kyle's going for 200 wins overall. He's 33 years old, I believe, and has the real potential to have 300 total wins across all three series if that's something he chooses to try to achieve. But he said himself that this is a personal record for him. This is something that he wants to do. It's important to him, but he does not see it in the same vein as Richard Petty's 200 Cup wins. And I think that's pretty obvious to everyone. But I think it's very incredible.
Yes.
He's he's a leading winner in Xfinity trucks. Obviously, no one's ever going to get to 200 wins in Cup. So I think the record for Richard Petty is safe for eternity.
I hope Kyle Busch is able to take a moment and celebrate that accomplishment without having too many people sit there and be those, those people that are going to be like, well, it ain't the same as Richard Petty's. That's stating the obvious. I hope that people can accept that as a remarkable feat.
Kyle is, if you watch Kyle's post-race content from social media, and he says he can hear how much each of those individual wins matter to him because he realizes what he's accumulated. I think several years ago, he's just winning. He's just going out to win and loves to win because it really made a lot of people angry. But now when he talks, it's more about I realize what this accomplishment means, and this is important to me. And so each individual win, he gets out of the car, he gets out of the truck and says, win number 53. Mm-hmm. He gets out of the Xfinity Series and says, all right, we're one more closer to sweeping the race weekend. And I think that he's starting to really appreciate just how unique his accomplishments are and what an incredible record, to have that many wins across all three series.
All right, I think that'll be it for.
Is that it?
All right.
Yeah, for Ask Junior Live, presented by Nationwide.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and thanks for some of the good questions. And we'll see you next week.